Hello there. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV News Hour. I am Frank Omalape. The military says troops have repelled a Boko Haram attack on Biu, Borno State in the early hours of the day. The defense headquarters disclosed that 5 insurgents were captured during the gun battle that lasted several hours. It said in a series of tweets through its Twitter handle that 2 anti-aircraft guns were also recovered. The military authorities added that a mop-up operation is currently on while troops are pursuing fleeing terrorists. The Independent National Electoral Commission says 68,833,476 eligible voters are registered to vote in the February 2015 general elections. It has, however, ruled out voting in villages, communities and towns occupied by Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. ANEC Chairman Atahiru Jega disclosed this to journalists on the sidelines of a meeting with representatives of registered political parties in Abuja. He also confirmed that the Commission has taken delivery of 130,000 cards readers. And funding, Jega says the funds required for the 2015 general election have been released by the government.
Of the law, the Commission has just announced the publication of the register of voters that will be used for the February 2015 general elections. And from the presentation that was made, the total number of registered voters for the elections is 68,833,476. INEC has always said that it is preparing to conduct elections in all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital, including the 3 northeast states experiencing the challenge of insurgency. In these 3 states, there are areas that are occupied by insurgents. And obviously, it stands to reason, and this is something we have said consistently, elections are unlikely to take place in these areas. But that does not mean that we will not conduct elections in these 3 states or that we have doubts about conducting elections in these 3 states. And I think it's very, very important that this distinction is made.
Again, the issue of the permanent voter cards has remained on the front burner with the Plateau State government, the latest to express dissatisfaction on the distribution of the voter cards across the country. State Governor Jonah Jang, who received the new recipient electoral commissioner for the state, says he is dissatisfied with the way the continuous voters registration and the distribution of the permanent voter cards.
So we believe that if you cannot get the new PVCs or whatever registration documents you have, we have held elections from 2011. We've had the same register of voters we've used in the 2 local government elections, which one is not up to a year ago. So these registers are still very much up to date. And the few new ones that those young people who have made 18 years, if they've been able to register at all, those should be used to make sure that everybody who is of the age of voting is able to vote. And the computers that were brought in again to do the new registration were so faulty that a lot of people could not get to do it. And more so, the time was so short that students who are of the age of voting were not at home to vote. And there's no effort that is being done to make sure they are registered so that they can vote.
Further, Jang says INEC should work to ensure that it does not play the role of a spoiler for the elections, wondering why it does not have his own name on the register. He, however, asked INEC to consider using the 2011 register.
Because otherwise, and our people will be franchised. And that when you brought out your list, that's before you are coming from your national headquarters, a lot of areas were said to have not having their names on the computer, including even me, the governor.
Again, the issue of youth empowerment is again on the front burner as the APC Lagos West senatorial candidate Solomon Adiola took his bid for the senatorial seat to the Arewa community, where he promised to make youth empowerment his main priority if he's re-elected. Damilola Omotude was there for CoreTV News. Her report is presented from our studios. These people were filled up the 3,000 capacity hall, venue of the meeting between APC candidate Solomon Adiola and the Arewa community in Lagos West to show their support for the candidate in his bid for the seat. Speaking at the meeting, the senatorial candidate Adiola charges the crowd to vote for his party to achieve the change that will take the nation to true prosperity.
A vote for our party, it's a vote for good governance, it's a vote for employment opportunity, it's a vote for economic development, and it's a vote for infrastructural renewal.
On the issue of the permanent voter cards, he urges INEC to do more to avoid disenfranchising Nigerians.
I will only use this opportunity to call on the head of government at the center, to call on the Independent National Electoral Commission and ask them to ensure that every Nigerian is not disenfranchised from exercising his own fundamental human right. That every Nigerian is allowed to vote come February 14 and February 28 so that they can express their mind, they can choose their leader, and they can vote for the party of their choice.
With campaigns in full throttle, it is hoped that candidates will fulfill their electoral promises to the people when the dust finally settles on the elections. Over 900,000 are currently displaced in the three northeastern states of Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno as a result of insurgency and other factors. This, according to the National Emergency Management Agency, is slightly above 10% of the combined population of the three states. Myanmar officials disclosed this at the opening of a closed-door meeting with their colleagues from the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, in Abuja. The agency insists that the figure is from data collated as of January 9 on peoples displaced from the Baga. Nema says they are at present housed in 12 camps in Maiduguri.
Displacement is quite different from those that have been affected. There are those that have been directly affected and those that have been indirectly affected. So I'm very, very happy and delighted, this meeting, because this is the kind of platform that we've been looking for to discuss issues, especially when you read on the pages of newspapers and other international media and internet, quoting different figures of displacement, and then people making pronouncement that has no basis. So we are concerned as a government that we need to put the record straight.
The opposition of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo to the re-election bid of President Goodluck Jonathan poses no threat to his bid for a return as President of Nigeria come February 14th. Ayo Adesina, senator representing Oyo Central Senatorial District, says the number of supporters who turned out on the campaign ground is a clear indication of the party's electoral victory both at the state and federal level.
Feels uncomfortable with what's going on, they have a right to go and vote for another party or even join another party if they so desire. There's nothing wrong with that. But I can see that affecting this man's chance of money. I mean, Jonathan has proven himself. Obasanjo was president for 8 years. All of these problems that we're talking about, if those problems had been solved 8 years earlier, we would not be in this same quagmire. So I don't see that. In fact, I think if Jonathan had not learned to pull away from the overall direction of Obasanjo, for instance, would have continued along the same path that helped to create the very terrible economic morass we're in now, the unconscionable level of unemployment amongst the youths.
The only mistake of the Jonathan-led According to Adeshew, the only mistake of the Jonathan-led administration is failure to do more publicity for its
1 billion naira worth of rice every day. That's 365 billion naira or more per year. Now, that import bill has been reduced by 50%. In 2 years or so, it would have been reversed. Nigeria will now be a net exporter of food products. That means fundamental change in the structure of agricultural production in Nigeria. Our farmers will now be going to the international market to be selling their products, to be earning money. We'll be conserving foreign exchange. Look at all of those things. If one man has been able to achieve all these in this short space of time, it's only fair that we allow him an extension.
Meanwhile, the campaign train of the All Progressives Congress for the presidential election hit Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, under the leadership of the party's national chairman, John Odigi Oyegun. Speaking at the event, Odigi Oyegun says the party is a change that Nigeria needs now, urging the people to go out and collect their permanent voter cards and vote for the APC presidential ticket of Buhari Oshibajo. National leader of the party, Bola Tinubu, in his speech praised the PDP for resorting to what he termed as campaign of calumny. Muhammadu Buhari, in his speech, promised to lead the nation to prosperity and banish poverty and unemployment from the land, especially amongst the youth.
Firstly, by securing this country, Nigerians should go all over the country at any odd hour of the day and do their legitimate businesses.
Barely 24 hours after President Goodluck Jonathan's campaign tour and party chieftains left the residence of former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta, the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, and his running mate, Yemi Oshibajo, were accompanied by the national leader of the party, Bola Tinubu, National Chairman John Odigi Oyegun, National Vice Chairman Southwest Sheguni, Bisi Akonde, and other leaders were at the hilltop residence of former President Olusegun Obasanjo to visit him to discuss with him on state of the nation and burning national issues. In his response, Olusegun Obasanjo says, despite party affiliations, the issue of Nigeria should be paramount in all other manifestation or manifestos. He also recommended on the sincerity of Buhari Muhammadu during his past administration as the head of state and outrightly endorsed him as a man of character. The national leader Bola Tinubu attributed the emergence of Buhari's candidacy to the recurring issues of development stalling the nation's growth.
We believe we are able to stop corruption. A lot of resources will be available to invest in doing the infrastructure, getting the factories to reopen, get jobs, and get goods and services. So security, economy, in terms of employment, production, manufacturing, goods and services, and then agriculture and other mining will again give impetus to employment.
When I was told you are going to be coming to Ogun State, I wasn't sure whether you will come here or not. But I told my boys, I said, well, whatever program we have outside of the state for today, let us shelve it. Just in case Muhammadu and his party and his team decide to call here. We mentioned economy, we mentioned corruption, and we have mentioned security. All of you, I will beg of you to add infrastructure. It's very, very important. You may take it as part of economy, but I will take infrastructure as special and give it special attention.
You're watching the CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a break now. We'll be back shortly with more stories after this timeout. Join us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
For more information on our news and other programs, like our Facebook page is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow us at CoreTV News NG. And our YouTube page is youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, the news. The police authorities in the Federal Capital Territory have convened an emergency meeting of the cattle rearers in the city with a view to stemming the tide of clashes with members of the indigenous community. Representative of the FCT Police Commissioner Balashi Roma said at the meeting that there is urgent need to solve the problem before it becomes a complex security crisis. FCT Council officials also urged the police to expand future meetings to include local farmers and other relevant members of the public affected by the activities of herdsmen.
Well, it's part of our strategy to checkmate cattle rustling within the FCT. We did a review and found out that there was need for us to carry the cattle rearers along in our fight against cattle rustling.
This meeting today has broadened it, ensuring that we find a lasting solution to this issue. The Kuje is not only the place that we have such a problem. We are having this problem all over the area councils. But we are trying to make a synergy to see how we can make improvement, ensuring good relationship between the all council. And that's why you can see the herdsmen are here. So we rub minds because they know their problem more than ourselves.
And now retired prison officers from Edo and Delta Command staged a protest to the Secretariat of Edo State Council of Nigeria Union of Journalists to demand action from the federal government against the 2004 Contributory Pension Act, which they say has made life miserable for them. The spokesperson, Abraham Osagai, addressing journalists during the protest, said the 2004 Pension Act ought to exempt those above 20 years in service, but reverse is now the case, as those employees who have attained 25 years and above in the service were being shortchanged and subjected to numerous hardship. A correspondent finds in this report presented from our studios.
The pensioners who came in their hundreds held placards with various inscriptions, lamenting untold hardship meted out on them by PENCOM, which denoted was avoidable and needless going by the acts which set it up. They wondered why they should be going through this harrowing experience when they ought to be enjoying their retirement. They said the peaceful protest is to draw the attention to the government to rectify the abnormality. Osage explained that the 2004 Pension Act was designed to manage the savings of contributors and not the gratuities, which was to be paid by the employers. He added that the reverse is now the case, as gratuity is now being used to pay monthly pension.
Because the administration was purely military, because you have no objection, it doesn't listen to advice. It's a question of just say, do this, you do it. And since we belong to paramilitary services, we have no right to protest, we have no right to strike. We have to accept. But then, the pension administrators who came around told us that they were going to be custodian of our savings and not custodian of our gratuity. But when we retire into it, the money we have saved was so small, was so token, they have to jam the savings with our gratuity. They now call it lump sum. This lump sum was shared into 4 places. They gave only 1/4 of it. And this 1/4 cannot do anything for us. Most of us, as you have seen us here, don't have roof over our head. We don't have houses. Most of us are tenants. 90% of us here are tenants, still living in other people's houses. We cannot meet up with our tenant rate. We cannot pay school fees for our children. The money they are paying is so token that it's less than 1/4 of our pay while in service.
Osagio further emphasized that they have made frantic effort to the National Assembly, which they claim appears to show positive interest on the matter.
From the House of Senate. House of Senate has not okayed it, and not to talk of President to give assent. And this time around, they are going now. Come May 2015, the National Assembly will be dissolved for another member to come up. And this time around, most of us are dying. Dying of hunger, dying of money, starvation, cannot pay our school fees, our children at home. So we decided to come now, so we plead with Mr. President that before they go, this letter that was written to the presidency since 2012, that they should okay it for us so that we can wake up again.
Some of the pensioners called on the federal government to address the issues and pay them their dues since 2011.
It's going to be paid to us by our employer and not the PFA. But incidentally, reverse became the case that it is only the savings they are going to manage for us. The savings was too small because we have not contributed up to 2-3 years. So the savings which they are supposed to manage for us, they saw that it became so token. Instead, they now took our gratuity and merged it together and start paying us peanuts 1/4, which we are supposed to be getting 80% of our former salary. So the peanuts they are giving to us cannot sustain anything.
The Edo State Chairman of the NUJ, Desmond Agbama, while thanking them for their peaceful protest, assured them that journalists will help disseminate the information to the appropriate quarters.
Of your plight, and we just pray that God should touch their hearts so to do what is right. So I want to thank you for coming, wish you well, to also congratulate for the very peaceful manner you gone about the protest. But the people should not relent in writing letters, in meeting with them one-on-one, sending your officers to meet with them. That's the only way you'll be able to achieve success. So as journalists, we use our various mediums to ensure that we disseminate the information.
The development brings to fall the flights of the pensioners across the country.
Outside Nigeria now, divers retrieved the cockpit voice recorder from the wreck of an AirAsia passenger jet on Tuesday. This, as experts say, is a key step towards determining the cause of the crash that killed 162 people. Indonesia AirAsia flight QZ851 lost contact with air traffic control in bad weather. And report says that at least last year, 162 people died and there were no survivors. The cockpit voice recorder, which retained the last 2 hours of conversation between the pilot and air traffic controllers, was found close to where the flight data recorder was recovered from the bottom of the Java Sea on Monday. Together, the black boxes, which are actually orange, contain a wealth of data that will be crucial for the investigators piecing together the sequence of events that led to the Airbus A320-200 plunging into the sea. And it's a wrap on CoreTV News at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Bye for now.